Welcome into Texans today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's program, my overreactions and rumors after the Texans' 26-15 win over the San Francisco 49ers. And shout out to everybody who joined in for our live watch party. It was an absolute blast. We gave away a Will Anderson Jr. autographed helmet. Obviously, we were able to watch a Texans dub, and it was a great day for Houston Texans fans as the Texans were able to pull out honestly a much-needed victory up against San Francisco. Like, the vibes would have been at all-time lows if the Texans weren't able to pull out a win up against the 49ers, but a depleted 49ers roster plus a Texans team on the ropes led to this team showing a lot of grit and giving Texans fans a happy Sunday for the first time in a couple weeks. But if this win gave you hope, like the video, if this win gave you a little bit of hope moving forward for your Houston Texans, like today's video, because personally for me, this win was everything for this Texans squad. If they didn't win this game, me included, I would have been out on this team doing anything. Like making the playoffs, winning the division. If they lost to the 49ers with all the guys that they had out, the season metaphorically would have been over for your Houston Texans. So I'm glad they got the dub. If you agree with me, go down and hit that thumbs up icon. As we get into today's show, quick reminder, if you're brand new to the program, this is how we break down rumors and just overreactions on the show. My Toro heads meter. If I give something 0 heads or fake news, that means it's not happening. If I give something 1 Toro head, small shred of truth. 2 Toro heads, think of it like 50-50 people are talking. 3 Toro heads, pretty likely. And if I give something 4 Toro heads, H-Town, hold it down. First off, the Texans season, is it saved? Yes. I'm going to give this one 3 Toro heads. Not all the way saved, obviously, but getting a win is massive. You go from 2 and 4 to now 3 and 4. I mean, this is everything for this squad, because if you would have lost this game, you go into next week up against the Denver Broncos, 5 losses already on your schedule. I mean, it's hard to get into the playoffs in the AFC, to make a wild card game in this conference. You're going to need to win at least, I would say, 10 games. And if you lost this one, you'd only really have room to lose 2 more in the future. And you have some decent opponents. The Colts, you play the Chiefs as well. A couple different teams where it's going to be tough to get victories. You play the Jags again in a couple weeks. If you would have lost this game, I mean, I think it just would have been all-out panic for this Texans squad. Luckily, we don't have to do that. We don't have to be there. But, I mean, shout out to this rookie class, really. Ariante Ursery, Woody Marks, Jaden Higgins, Jaylin Noel, especially the guys on the offensive side. This Texans rookie class really stepped up in a big way this game. And, speaking of Ursery, the Texans O-line. I mean, he played much better. I think the Texans O-line played much better. So is the Texans O-line playing better? I'm only going to give it 1 Toro head. Yes, they did play better, but I feel like you have to take things with a grain of salt, right? Like, this 49ers front 7, I wouldn't say the guys that they rolled out there up against the Texans, I wouldn't say is in the top 20 front 7s in the league. Their top guys are out, right? You don't have Nick Bosa. You don't even have the guy that you got this offseason in, Huff. You don't have anybody. Fred Warner's out. And, of course, the Texans should have dominated. They put up 475 yards of total offense, 318 yards through the air, 157 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, and you dominated that time of possession, which you needed to, right? Up against a bad team, you were able to step up big time, right? Ariante Ursery, I thought, looked good. This Texans front 5, they did much better in picking up the blitz. They sent a lot of stunts. They sent exotic blitzes, and the Texans, for the most part, picked it up. There was a couple times where, free rushers were allowed to C.J.Stroud, and one time in particular, I remember he got out of it, threw it to Woody Marks. It was still a loss on the play. But, these guys up front played better. They're still, for some reason, putting Laken Tomlinson and Juice Scruggs 50-50 in this game. I don't know why, but I think they played much better. And, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of, trade chatter, trade rumors going on around the NFL. So I'm going to ask you this. Do the Texans need to trade for an offensive lineman? Let me know down in the comment section. Give me a yes. Give me a no down below. Do you think the Texans need to trade for an offensive lineman? I mean, it's tough, right? I think you could definitely use some help at left guard. I mean, Jake Andrews has played better as of late, but I don't think he's the future at center for this Texans squad. I still think they can improve in that position as well. The only question is, who's open for business? Are the Browns willing to give you one of their guards, either, Wyatt Teller or Joel Petonio? Are the Raiders in a spot where they're ready to get rid of their second-round pick from last year in Jackson Powers-Johnson or maybe Dylan Parham? That's the tough part, because it's like, of course, the Texans want to get better on the offensive line, and if there's a guy available, they'd be dumb not to at least look into it. But I'm not sure if this Texans team and another front office are going to be able to come to odds together and say, hey, we're going to be able to give you this offensive lineman to help your team out for the rest of the year for a trade compensation that Nick Caserio is worth paying. The Texans have 2 seconds, 2 fourths in this next draft. Will they leverage one of those picks to possibly upgrade the offensive line or another position? Because the Texans have also been in a lot of chatter around other positions, running back. Next up, C.J.Stroud is my quarterback, and you already know. 4 Toro heads, H-Town, hold it down. C.J.Stroud showed up big time for this Texans squad, and he needed to. There's a lot of doubters. I think every one of us as Texans fans out there has seen the graphic of C.J. Stroud's stats ever since he talked to Caleb Williams, which is absolute baloney. It's absolute, it's stupid, right? But last week, Stroud did not have a good game. Calling it how it is, right? Calling balls and strikes. C.J. Stroud last week against the Seahawks, I thought had a really bad game. This week up against the 49ers, much, much better. Early on, he missed a couple balls, but after he threw that deep ball to Jaylin Noel, something hit. Something sparked within C.J. Stroud where I think, not saying like he's fully back, like he's rookie year C.J. Stroud, but you felt the confidence a little bit. You felt like a weight kind of lifted off his shoulder. And I think C.J. Stroud, he has a lot of detractors, a lot of people wishy-washy on Stroud saying, oh, yeah, I wouldn't give Stroud a contract. I wouldn't do this, that, and the other. I've never wavered that I think Stroud is the guy. I think Stroud, I would still give him a contract extension today. I would have given it to him before this 49ers game as well. Because I think with everything going on around him, Stroud has still weathered the storm. He still goes in and week out. And yes, he has a couple clunker games, but he's still a young quarterback. He's still under the age of 25. C.J. Stroud, I want him to be our quarterback for years to come. And maybe you disagree. Maybe you think I'm overreacting to that, but I still think my guy, C.J. Stroud, is one of one, and he can be a top 10 quarterback at the height of his powers. If he has a good running game, a good offensive line, every quarterback, you need some help on the offensive side of the football. If C.J. Stroud can get that, I think he is a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. Now, I have some more overreactions, some more rumors to get to in just a moment, but couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsor over at Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss out on any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. It's super simple. All you got to do, pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. They put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Not only football, also basketball. I know baseball's coming to an end, but they also have hockey. They also have MMA. They also have esports. All of those available with our friends over at Prize Picks. And, I didn't win my lineup. I stupidly went less on the rush yards for C.J. Stroud, and he had a couple nice gains on the ground with his legs. But still, I had a fun time, and I was close, right? I had the Mac Jones. I had the more on the passing yards for CJ. Jaylin Noel, I picked the wrong rookie to score. It was Jaden Higgins. But still, I'm going to be putting in a lineup each and every week because I love playing me some prize picks, and I know you will too. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Shout out to them for being the sponsor of today's show. All right, let's get into the next rumor on today's show. The Texans front four is great. Yeah, it is. 4 Toro heads. You better believe it. They were getting after Mac Jones, and credit to him. He was able to get rid of the ball on multiple occasions and, stop it from getting stop the Texans front four from getting a sack. But they were consistently getting pressure with only sending 4 guys. Mac Jones, 19 of 32, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 23 rush yards. But, this Texans defense, this front four, they were getting after it. Will Anderson got himself a sack, 1 tackle for loss, 3 quarterbacks hits. He was everywhere. Danielle Hunter had a good game as well. You look at Derek Barnett, 2 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits. Multiple guys. Tommy Togai kind of helped out with a sack as well. But, Will Anderson, I think he's the best pass rusher in the NFL right now. If the Texans had a winning record, Will Anderson Jr. would be in the conversation way more for Defensive Player of the Year. And I think after everything we saw this offseason, after everything with Micah Parsons and just everything with speaking about, contract negotiations, this, that, and the other, everybody talks about the C.J.Stroud contract. I think we need to be talking about the Will Anderson Jr. contract because I think the Texans might have to go out and make him the highest paid edge rusher in the NFL, more than Micah Parsons, more than T.J. Watt, more than Myles Garrett. What say you, though? Would you make Will Anderson Jr. the highest paid edge in the NFL? I know that's a ton of money. And they obviously still can pick up his 5th-year option because he was a first-round pick. Let me know down in the comment section, pay or pass. Will Anderson Jr. be the highest paid edge rusher in the NFL? He looks like it. He looks like the best edge rusher in the NFL, in my opinion. And I don't want to see 51 playing for any other team other than the Houston Texans for the foreseeable future. So let me know down in the comment section, what do you think about Will Anderson Jr.? Should he be the highest paid edge rusher in the NFL? Next up, do the Texans need secondary help? I'm going to go 2 Toro heads, and I think so. I think the Texans do need some secondary help. MJ Stewart and Kalen Bullock on the back end. You look at the biggest plays from that game up against the 49ers, right? In my opinion, 2 of the biggest plays were the George Kittle touchdown that he somehow fitted in between Azeez Al-Shire, and then Kalen Bullock was slow getting over, was trying to intercept the ball, but basically let George Kittle outman him to get that football. And then you look at the other big play. Juwan Jennings caught the ball at the 1-yard line between Kamari Lassiter and MJ Stewart. He was late getting over as well. And the 49ers, they don't have a lethal wide receiver group, a amazing quarterback in Mac Jones, but they were still able to get a couple of those chunk plays. They should have had another one where Juwan Jennings beat MJ Stewart down the middle of the field for a long gain. Luckily, Juwan Jennings dropped that football, but that would be the biggest worrying point for me after this Texans win up against the 49ers is that secondary. Is the Texans safety room able to hold up? I know you have guys like Jaylin Reed, the 6th-round pick out of Penn State, coming back. You have Jimmy Ward possibly coming back in the future as well. But I wouldn't be hard-pressed for the Texans to look at adding another safety. You obviously felt like you needed to get one whenever you traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That didn't work out, but I still think you need some safety help. Justin Simmons is still a free agent. There's still a couple guys on the free agent market, so you don't necessarily have to go out and trade for anybody. But still, I think the Texans need some safety help in the secondary for sure. If I'm the Houston Texans, I'm looking at possibly some deep safeties to help out down the road because whenever you play a Patrick Mahomes, whenever you play, these better teams in the AFC, they're going to be able to convert those deep passes, and that will kill this defense. Whenever they're able to keep it in front of them, good. But that just worries me with MJ Stewart in the long run. He's a decent third safety. He's a decent rotation guy. But as your starting safety, He does worry me a ton. And lastly, is this team better than their record? I think so. 4 Toro heads, 100%. I think this team is much better than their record. 3-4, this team, I still think, they are a couple bounces of the football away. A sack from Henry Toto, a non-fumble from Nico Collins or Daria Gumawale. I mean, from being one of the top teams in the AFC. If you win those 2 games, you flip it. The Texans, instead of 3-4, they're 5-2. So I think the Texans still have a lot in front of them, and it's going to be big this week as the Texans face off up against the Denver Broncos. They absolutely need to pull out a win here in week 9, as the next 3 weeks are going to be pivotal. You play at home against the Broncos, at home against the Jaguars, and then you play up against the Tennessee Titans. If you're able to win all 3 of those games, I mean, you're looking pretty. You're then sitting at 6-4 at around a little bit past the halfway point of the season. This is going to be a big stretch for this Texans team. And this will tell us a lot about this squad and their grit. If they're able to come back and remember, the statistic we all talked about, 0-3 teams to make the playoffs. It's only happened once since the year 2000, and it was the Houston Texans. It's happened once, and it was your Houston Texans. Why not again? Why can't the Texans do it again and make the improbable happen for this year? DeMeco Ryans, C.J.Stroud, you can say a lot about both those guys, head coach and quarterback. But one thing you cannot say is they quit. They will never quit on this city. They will never quit on this team. That's why I love DeMeco Ryans and C.J.Stroud with this squad. Yes, they have their, they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. They don't, they have their stuff where they really frustrate me from time to time with things they do. But overall, you can never doubt their effort towards this squad and trying to get wins. And as long as that's the case, I think the Texans still have a chance. They just got to go out these next 3 weeks and really prove it. All right, that's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you made it to the end of today's video, go ahead, drop those H's down in the comment section for me, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 37,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, free Texans videos all year long. We got you covered here on Texans Today.